Esports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Charm's gonna let not swim! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running! All damage in! There's another turn! And expression goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even Pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports. Cyclogen's Virtual Rankings is a ranking system for Zwift racers, built to make racing more fun for all levels of ability. The rankings are based on historical data, as well as new race results, which are uploaded immediately. Racers are divided into divisions, and points are distributed based on the strength of the field in the race. Terms are separated into months, quarters, years, and lifetime. And at the end of each term, racers are able to be promoted to a new division. High-scoring elite racers are also automatically under consideration to participate in a CVR World Cup event.
We're on a journey and we're going by bike. Bicycles set people free.
Well, hello there, fans. This is the CVR World Cup League, Week 7, Watopia Island. It's so exciting, I can't even hardly stand it. Thanks for joining us in all the different ways that you're joining us, whether it be Mixer, yeah, you're watching this on your Xbox, or on Facebook, or any of the places that you stream this. I'm joined today by Frank Garcia, as always, and we're going to jump to him in just a... Hey, there he is, the voice of the man himself. This is going to be a good one. I'm really excited.
It's absolutely going to be a good one.
Now, we'll see who's got the legs today. This has been a pretty long season, Week 7. Big races for these folks. Now, this is the course, Watopia Hilly Forward. They're going to do 4 laps of this. More than 100 meters of climbing throughout this whole process, which includes this thing, the wall. No kidding. That is
my
going to be
nemesis,
some pain.
Chris. This is absolutely my nemesis. Of all the courses, other maybe than Box Hill on London, I do not like that wall. It kills me every time, drops me off the back, shoots me out the back. It's just not any fun for me at all.
Well, and in Zone G, there's some guys that do it better than others, like this guy, Shane Gaffney. He likes this thing. Now, can he hang on with the fastest of the fast? Another guy you know really well, that would be Scotty Weiss. Very possibly he could be right on the wheel. This is not one of those places you can get away as easy with this fast group. On the women's side, Jenny Mattis doing an amazing job all year, getting better and better. She's going to get an upgrade letter. And she's trying to chase down this lady right here, Allison Kubota, who has been at the top of this all season long. This is her home course, and she is going to do great stuff. Okay, so in this Zone G, this is what we have to look forward to. These are the highlights. Now, at the top of that list, Scotty Weiss, Eric Sorensen, Shane Gaffney, a couple names that we mentioned. That's in that men's A group. But there are a couple folks coming for him, aren't they?
Absolutely, but I do have an injury report today. I think Scotty is out today, feeling a little bit under the weather. Got that report a little bit earlier today. Katrina will be riding instead, or not instead, she rides every week, but she'll be framed up, and we'll get to see her race today on the women's side. Excellent.
Well, it's bad when you got a guy who is as explosive as Scotty out. And it's a sad, sad day, said no one in the rest of the peloton. They are looking forward to a different kind of race today.
You're like, it's a sad day. I'm like, I'd be dancing in the streets if I was racing Zone G.
Yeah, Sorensen, Gaffney, Typin, Hunter, all of these guys. Tomo Fuji, all caps because he shouts it whenever he shouts it. And here it is, going to kick this off right now. The gate's going to drop in 3, 2, 1, go. And these guys are going to go hard right there. We see Shane Gaffney in that ODZ kit jumping to the front there. Swanson not far behind Brian Typin. This is nice, a big push, but they don't have to do the same thing that they've done before. This changes completely what you've seen in previous weeks with these riders now not having to chase the World Championship stripes of Scotty Weiss. What a different kind of race this will be. We could see folks, Frank, rise to the top that we have not seen before. Folks like Jeff Creel. Folks like, well, it's funny. Scotty is actually in the pen. At least his avatar is. He wanted to jump in probably and say hello to the fellas. Or maybe he'll have a complete recovery, wait 15 minutes, and then jump in and chase these guys down. It could happen. It could happen. Head start for Scotty? No, probably not. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, he's sitting at 0.0 watts, which is more than I could do right now. But Swanson, Brooks, Creel, and all of those folks in there. It's a smaller group today, but we're getting to the end of the season, and folks are tired.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where I think Scotty is in the pen just saying, hey, I'm here, guys. I would race you. All other things being equal, but a little under the weather. So you guys go out and have some fun today. And I don't think he's going to be chasing you down. Now, maybe Scotty's a little bit disappointed I put him on injured reserve. Otherwise, he might left a little doubt in everybody's mind that he was just giving everybody a head start.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's the psychology of the whole thing. You put Scotty in the pen anyway, and then he doesn't come with. Scotty, yeah, like he's given them a head start. And it's true that a bunch of them don't know about it. But this changes it quite a bit. You've got Big E, Eric Sorensen, tall rider, maybe not the most likely to climb fastest. He was not voted that at his high school anyway. Tomo Fuji, this might be his day. Lots of power on the uphill available to his legs. But the Vision rider, Creel, also maybe has the chance to do something special today. This is kind of cool. Kind of cool to see what we'll see here.
Absolutely. But I heard a rumor you had a man crush on Shane Gaffney. I guess you're going to say it's because of his jersey, but you really seem to connect with Shane, and maybe it is that he's on the same team that you're on, and I'm just calling you out here, full disclosure for commentators at CVR World Cup. But tell us a little bit about...
Ooh, I will in just a second, but I'll tell it from the perspective of Shane Gaffney, the most handsome man in the peloton. Johnny Rocket from KRT dangles a little bit of a carrot out in front of our guy, Shane Gaffney, who, by the way, was nominated 6 times for the Nobel Peace Prize when he was still in grade school. Eric Sorensen does not want to let him get away with that, nor does Swanson himself, and he climbs up there. But when you've got tattoos like he does and those sweet ear pods, you're willing to go full speed all the time. In fact, just in, lots of us have different levels of fatigue. There are only 2 zones in Shane Gaffney's workout load, right? You and I have 5, maybe 6, depending on which. He only has 2 zones, off and on. Shane Gaffney is currently on right now, chasing Johnny Rocket, the KRT rider, up the hill. Sorensen on his wheel. He doesn't want to let him get away with it.
And we've
Crazy
seen
stuff.
Amazing climb times today, certainly under 2 minutes, but just amazing. We saw Leo do it in 1:43 in the zone just before this one. I can't even imagine that. My legs would literally burst into flames, turn into cinders, and drop off the rest of my body if I was able to do the wall in 1:43.
No kidding. A little bit of a drop of an arrow right there. Gaffney is going to try to get on his wheel. Look at that gritting just down, just the evil face that he can get. This is what we want to see from him as he jumps right back onto the wheel of the KRT rider. Not a name that I recognize, not a name that's showing up in the list here. Maybe that's not Hunter. We'll find out maybe a little bit more who that is. Scotty is no longer in the group today. Let's just take a quick look at all those who are out here today. Cunningham appears to be that guy on the course right now. Okay. As we're looking at this collection of riders, we see this man that we know very, very well. Where did it go? There he is. Very, very well. We've got a few of these folks that you'll recognize, including Shane Gaffney and Eric Sorensen, now starting to gap the rest of that field. This is interesting for Tomofuji and those guys. They've got to pull back that 1 second. All right, women are rolling. Angela Webster in the group. Dixie Newsom, welcome back, sister. We know her really well. Trina Weiss in that group, and Stephanie Ostenbrink controlling the front with Rhonda Stickle. We're going to be able to kind of bring some of these women into your living room, as it were, if you're watching over on the CVR World Cup. And we're excited to introduce you to these women, to these men. If you're joining us for the first time over on Mixer, click that follow and we'll notify you when these races go live in the future. You are looking right now at this woman right here, and that's Angela Webster. She is one of our well-known racers. She's on Team Velocity Vixens, and she is in good company with 2 of her teammates, Dixie Newsom and Rhonda Stickle, who want to make sure that the Vixens get this victory today. But they're starting to stretch out, and Webster is on the wrong side of this business. She needs to get out of the saddle and go. Trina, with the primary cam, she is on Scott's computer, and he is probably over there in his sickbed saying, go, 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 get back on. And she is doing exactly that, passing Webster. Now trying to catch onto the wheel of Stickle, which she will, but she's got to go with and get with these 2 front riders. And that is Newsom and Ostenbrink. Ostenbrink she's one of the ones broadcasting today as well. But Dixie Newsom now falling off just a little bit of the back of Stephanie Ostenbrink. This changes it a little bit. If you don't have 2 riders off the runner, if they're more separated, there's a bigger belief that those are going to come back together, Frank, aren't there? That we're going to see those riders come back together if it's not a 3 or 2 even riders drilling it on the front.
Absolutely. The pack matters in cycling anywhere. It absolutely matters, maybe more so in Zwift than in real life. So 1 or 2 people off the front when you have a pack of 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 riders, not a problem. Just let them go, give them 5 seconds, watch them work really hard, and go from there.
Yep. And there, right there in your screen, that would be,
Rhonda Stickle.
Rhonda Stickle, although we're seeing a different avatar from her, I believe, than her in life. Yeah.
That's the tech failure on the part of someone whose initials are FG. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, and we'll blame the mystery person named FG. Oh, look at that grit face coming up over the top. She's chasing down Austin Brink, but you know what? You don't have to do it alone. You've got Rhonda Stickle with you. Team Velocity Vixen and Dixie Newsom, Angela Webster just a little bit further behind. There's a chance that they're going to come back together here pretty darn quick. But look at all that confetti. PR's coming out. There's Rhonda right now. Avatar matches real life. She's got her glasses on so she can see. But look at all those medals behind her. She's not been breaking into people's houses and stealing them. She's been earning those like you would expect. And she's going to get out of the saddle to push it a little bit harder to get up next to Trina. And there she is right there. Oh, just doing the hard work necessary to make that happen. They're going to work together right there. At least she's going to let Trina work for her. And that's just how it happens. Okay, so thanks again. Those of you joining us on Mixer, this is really happening right now. Hardest video game ever. And we're glad that you're able to join us today. Right now, also, in this chase group, Angela Webster. But things are starting to heat up on the men's side. Handsomest man alive, voted by Time Magazine and People, Shane Gaffney.
I just thought I would point out that since you said that, his feed has dropped. The helicopter is no longer following Shane, or he's hiding. I'm not sure which. But we're having a little bit of trouble with the helicopter on the men's side. We'll try and get everybody back.
You know what? This just in from the tech department. It froze right here. Shane Gaffney issued one smolder look to the camera, and it was no longer able to function. Shane Gaffney broke his camera with a smolder today. It happens. That's impressive stuff. Hey, I want to ask you a quick question. You'll notice that somebody is conspicuously absent from Zone G today, someone who we know very well, who's done great work. We might have even introduced in the opener. Do you know who I'm talking about, Frank? Who's missing?
I don't.
Believe it or not, it's Allison Kubota. She's not in the group today.
I actually, I'm sorry, I should have given that injury report.
Yeah,
Allison contacted
she said it to me too.
She's on injured reserve as well. So not only am I dense, I am completely dense even when told right before the fact.
I do. You are not dense. You are just focused on many things simultaneously. Right?
This is, yeah, absolutely. Just maybe one or two things. This is pretty cool, though. David Torello has something up here that I think is every Zwift racer should see. So he has the overlay from CVR World Cup, and so he gets to see who is in game, who's in the league, who he's actually racing against in terms of points. So that's pretty cool. Nice to see that up. Shout out to David.
Yeah, no kidding. And good stuff there in the garage. Looks like he's got quite a few commodities on his shelf there in case he needs them. Looks like his car care game is stepped up dramatically. Well done, David. Well done. You could wax my car anytime. That sounded bad when I said that. And based on the previous discussion, I probably will stay away from those things in the future. But as he is trying to stay on this group, he's got another HPP rider right there with him, and they are trying to chase down as they come around this corner. You see it yourself right there. They're trying to chase down. But here is Shane Gaffney. His camera has regained consciousness, and he is trying to chase down this group with Sorensen and Rocket right there. KRT is well represented here today. But these guys have dropped on that climb. Swanson and back to Hunter. As well. Those guys may not be able to recover this distance with these three guys if they're pushing this hard. Gaffney
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. In fact, I was getting into a position where we could kind of watch Tomofuji. I think he's trying to do the pullback as well. And it looks to me like they will get back on, but you see here Johnny Rocket and Sorensen absolutely driving it at the front. We'll try and pick up Sorensen. He's having some trouble with the helicopter today as well, but we might be able to get some still shots to come through the trees, and we'll try and pick that up. But it's very, very interesting. It looks to me like this group behind is trying to get the group ahead to work. Only problem is numbers are reversed. We've got more people in the front, less people in the back. That spells trouble for the chase group.
Yeah, it does. You don't have as many horses to set the pace. You don't have as many opportunities to gather a little bit of rest. You can do it, but it's an all-in proposition. And speaking of all-in, there goes a man right now, Jeff Creel from the Vision team, saying, you know what, if I don't cover this distance now, sorry, Tomofuji, I'm not going to be able to do it. So he's going to deliver this now when he can get the most downhill speed. Errors work together. That's what they need to do. And Creel is going to try to close that down. He's only 4 seconds now away from the rest of the tail end of that group. This is a tricky time for Creel to try and use all of this energy. But he knows what's going to happen when he hits that climb, and it's going to get out from under him really, really quick. Tomofuji now maybe going to be tracked down by Brooks, who's just behind him. Definitely a different pace. But Creel rejoins the group in front of him, the savvy Australian rider. Nice work to get back up there with Hunter and the rest of the crew. Johnny, of course, the KRT rider, up there with Shane Gaffney, Swanson, and Big E.
But I wonder what price they paid right before the climb here. That is a tough place to sort of reconnect up. Now, they've got a little time to recover, but these guys have kind of back off, really get their heart rates down. They probably don't have enough time, and then we're going to hit the climb. I bet it's another sub 2 minute climb. I predict that those people will come right back off of this group and may never get back.
It may never get back, indeed. Tomofuji has already kind of shifted gears into a different race, or so it would appear. He's going to just try to give as much as he can right now, maybe to stay in front of Brooks. But you know what? At this point, lap 1, you've just started lap 2. You're going to want to find yourself in a group of people. You don't want to do this all alone. Brooks would be a nice person to have there with you. Maybe you could chase down some of the flotsam and jetsam that's going to fall off the back of this group as they hit the heavy climb, and they are just about to hit it. We'll be able to see those red numbers take off. I would bet that Shane Gaffney, just after his really important trip to do some service for some people in need, he is going to do a little bit of exercise here. A lot of people don't know this, but Gaffney's trainer is set up to power an entire small village in sub-Saharan Africa. So when he kicks up the watts, it's to save the children. That's what Shane Gaffney does. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, so when they hit it here, who do you think is going to get left off the back of this? My guess is Creel, so you can't guess him.
I will pick Johnny Rocket.
Okay, he's got the polka dot jersey, so he probably isn't going to get dropped off the back. You really think that's our guy?
Hey, that's you asked me for a name. I gave you a name.
Okay. And let's see if you are wrong or couldn't be more wrong. We'll see which one of those two it is when we get to the top of this climb. And Swanson kicking it into gear. Creel, with all that fresh in his legs, he's trying to cover that distance. You just got to get on a wheel there. You're not going to get much aerodynamic advantage, but definitely staying there with Big E Sorensen is a big deal. Shane Gaffney making sure that his stuff is set up properly. Now 6 seconds back of this group. He may have been powering that small sub-Saharan African village a little bit too long, and he finds himself now kicking it into high gear, but the gap is growing and growing. Gaffney is now 12 seconds back. Johnny Rocket now 7 seconds.
Point of order. I want a point of order here. If Creel is 6 seconds in front of Johnny Rocket at the top of the hill, even if Johnny Rocket is in second place, I still think officially he will have been dropped.
I agree completely. He will have been dropped. However, yeah, we'll see. He could, you know what? He could have just kind of drifted across that line last with the intention that he was going to hang on to that jersey by killing it up here. We'll see. But Creel makes himself not only a member of this very exclusive club, the trio at the front of the race with 100 meters to go until they get to the banner, but he came back from 7-8 seconds back as they came down through the S's there. He not only pulled himself back, but he pulled himself to the front group, and those who were with him were unable to do it. Gaffney included, now 23 seconds back, likely because he's also giving plasma at the same time that he's racing this. We cannot confirm that. Don't worry. Don't try to check because he's that good of a person. But Gaffney in a different spot of the race right now. Creel, Sorensen, and Swanson all up there. This throws into interesting territory, Frank. The group that we want to pay close attention to in the men's, because there may be some point shifts here. All right, back with the women. We've got Angela Webster, Rhonda Stickle, Trina Weiss, all there together. Well, sorry, Webster a little bit further behind. But Trina's got herself in good company now, doesn't she?
Absolutely. This is looking very good. It's setting up. I thought I would make an interesting observation here. Did I mention that the women made more in Los Angeles? Just slightly more. The organizers pay equal to the men and the women, but the women earned more in cheering, and you can cheer at cycleview.tv for your favorite athlete in this particular race. Certainly don't hesitate to do that. It's always a kick to get a cheer, not only because it's fun to get the cheer, it's also fun to earn a little bit of money with every cheer goes to the athletes. But one of the things I wanted to point out here, the women are killing it again. We've got fantastic streamers all across the board. We're going to flow through a few of them here as we get set up for the climb. The climb is coming. We'll watch the women do the climb. We've got Rhonda, who's been on fire, and I think all those medals behind her, certainly indicate that she knows how to ride. We've got Katrina looking good today. I'm sure Scotty is there cheering her on in person. We're going to have to get Scotty to log on and do some cheering so that the world can see it and Katrina can earn a little bit of money, although Scotty might think that's a net negative since he's standing right there. But we'll get him to do it anyway. Absolutely got Angela Webster out here. Really fun stuff today. And as we hit this climb, it's going to be lots of fireworks. I think
Frank,
from Rhonda.
Did you notice on screen right there, Trina Weiss? She had one of those orange messages come up. So for those of you on Mixer who don't know what that is, she actually had a message from her coach. Now we can see it because she's streaming her point of view, but he texted into her, "Pay attention." Right, which is really be attentive to what's going on right here. And we get out of the saddle right now, and there she goes. This is almost a predictable location for Stephanie Austin-Brink. As she gets out of the saddle, she's on her mountain bike, drilling it right now at the front. There is Rhonda Stickle also paying close attention to what's going on. We've got Stickle, Austin-Brink, and Trina Weiss, all together there on the course. Stephanie Austin-Brink holding on to that fabulous polka dot jersey right now.
Yeah, absolutely amazing thing. I'm going to notice a couple of things. First of all, you see Rhonda very efficient out of the saddle. Good arm movement in terms of how she's supporting her core and going up and down in terms, with the legs, generating a lot of power. But one of the things I just have to mention is she's got this great stream. I'm going to have to do this. Do you see those medals in the background? How because of the fan going on, they're like stars, flickering, in the background. That is awesome. I think that is just a great view as well.
I'm completely offended. Yes, I could put my one medal up there in my little wall of awesome. That would be pretty darn cool. Yeah, she's doing a great job. It's great to see these different women streaming and getting these pieces working. There is a little bit of a technological lift, but that's why we like to watch it. Hey, Mixer, thanks for joining us. A few of you are new. This is really happening. Hardest video game ever. Click that follow button just to make sure that we can notify you when these women and these men are racing. And if you're also over on Facebook, you can do the same thing there. And we'll do that. Scott Jardine, Lager Hunter.
Yes, sorry to cut you off there. One of the things, you talked about the technological lift, and we're refining CVR World Cup Studios. We've got all sorts of streams coming in here from all over the world, and we used to think it required about 5 megabits to stream. We've got that down in certain instances to like 555 kilobytes, so 0.5 megabytes. So if you tried to stream with us previously and discovered that it was maybe a little bit too much for your internet connection, please reach out to support again, and we'll be able to get you in. And Rhonda's a great example of that. She's streaming here at about 650 kilobits per second, and we are able to put everything together here in CVR World Cup Studios. So exciting times. Things will get a little bit more exciting, and we'll continue to work on quality and transmission bandwidth going forward.
Well, and those things will continue to improve, but that is the key to what makes this so cool and so watchable. All right, back on board with Trina. And you notice she's got that CVR World Cup towel right there. You can only get those really one or two ways, so you know she's an insider. And following her coach's admonition, there it is, nice work, David Lipscomb, as it shows up on her screen, is to pay attention, be attentive, be aware of what's going on. And that is really the key to success in this part of the mental game of virtual bike racing. You have to do that. You have to be really careful and thoughtful and make sure that those things are, you close every single one of these gaps.
One of the things that I find interesting sort of about humans in general, maybe it's part of the human condition, but there's a level that you can go out and do yourself. And then there's another level that when another human is asking you to do it, that you can do. And you kind of see that in Katrina, right? Like maybe if nobody was there cheering her on, if her coach wasn't giving her a little comment, now she doesn't want to let those people down. And you can just go a little bit deeper than you normally could, right? Like it's kind of okay to let yourself down. It's not really okay, but you know what I mean? Like, okay, I can live with this. It's okay. I'll come back. I'll fight another day. But when there's somebody else out there saying, please don't let me down, please do this for me, even if that's not exactly what they're saying, that's sort of how it registers in our mind, and we can go amazingly deep as humans. It's an amazing thing. Amazing.
Now check this out. We see Johnny Rocket, who officially we'll give the point to Frank here, was dropped on that climb. That was a pretty good guess. Creel, Swanson, and Sorensen now putting 36 seconds onto this group. It'll shrink a little bit as they've just hit the top of that hill, and then it'll grow even more. Rocket in no man's land a little bit. Hunter and Gaffney were right there with him, but he dropped them like third period French, dropped them like a bad habit or a wet diaper. All those euphemisms that we just make up on the spot here.
Chris,
but he's got to get in with
I have
those guys.
learned, do not drop a wet diaper.
Do not
bad move. Unless it's over the garbage. Only place to drop a wet diaper.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Or, no, those are the only two. Okay, yeah, exactly. Wherever you are and over the garbage. Okay, so this trio in the front, Creel, Swanson, and Sorensen. Looks like Sorensen's the one really setting the pace here. These guys sitting on his back wheel, just kind of doing what they do. He's going to want to try to shake these guys, isn't he? If they're going to really take that much. If they're not working together, there's got to be some frustration that he's got for those guys. Those aren't his teammates. Swanson, not a teammate. Creel, not a teammate. He's Team Vision. That's a rival team. What is the frustration level on someone like an Eric Sorensen at this point?
Well, I think Eric being in the front group, his level of frustration is probably a little lower. But let's contrast that with Johnny. We saw Johnny do a big attack back there. Often the frustration is much higher in the chase group, right? Because if you made the front group, okay, you can sort of decide whether you want to work or whether you don't want to work, and you might decide you want to keep away from some people in the chase group. You don't want Johnny Rocket there at the end to do the sprint with you, right? But if you're Johnny Rocket and you just missed the group, right? You were 4 seconds behind at the top of the climb, and now you're with a bunch of people, and you're thinking, it's okay, we're going to get back. And then you start working, and you realize that nobody else is going to work with you. Your level of frustration goes right through the roof for a couple of reasons. One, you're not getting back, and even if you did, you'd be done. And you'd only have pulled one of those guys back, and so that's really frustrating. But the other frustration that you have is, wow, I was just 4 seconds away. If I could have just stayed. And so now you really want these other guys to work with you to erase that issue in your mind, but it's not going to go away. Frustration gets the better of you here. You start, really in real life, you'd start yelling at the people in the break with you. Maybe Johnny's messaging them, come on, let's do something, please work with me. And sometimes people don't want to work with you, and sometimes they just don't have it.
Yeah, they don't have it indeed. And we did see that a little bit earlier with his chat. He was throwing that out there. We saw it in the group discussion. He was like, everybody come together, everybody work together, and it was not necessarily getting that. Sometimes you get it, and sometimes people don't want to do it, but oftentimes, as you described, people can't do it. Okay, Creel, as he comes around this group, is in a pretty good spot, but he had to really fight back the last time. That was the second time up this climb. He found himself in a funky spot. Here is that chase group that we speak of with Rocket, Gaffney, and Hunter in that trio. Chasing the other one, they're a full minute back. They're just now coming into the sprint zone. And they may have an opportunity maybe to pick off one of these guys, but as they come closer to that, and he is drinking the tears of his foes right now, that's what he keeps in his water bottle. That's a good thing to have. Only a matter of time. You guys crash up the hill on lap 4. Very, very true. But these guys are not really putting in the chase that you described earlier, but also not going very hard is the Sorensen trio right now. I'm just kind of hovering around 3 watts on the front of that thing. That's an interesting position to be in. This is the time when you maybe try to pull back some of that time if you've got it. But his head down says, well, he's pantomiming what the other guys are doing because he would never feel any kind of fatigue. Not Shane Gaffney.
Oh my, you are killing me with the Gaffney crush. That's all I've got to say. I think
there's no Gaffney crush. It's just science. Yeah. Gaffney is a superior human being.
Yeah, you pull on that ODZ jersey and you become superior.
What?
Sure. Just it's too bad you don't not become as superior as a Team X jersey. Now there is some real magic when you pull a Team X jersey on. I am just saying that's how I view the world in terms of how things are going. Okay, so we see Gaffney sort of behind. We're on the climb with Sorensen. We don't have the rider view here, but you see Sorensen starting to leave Swanson behind. Creel is staying right there. It looks like Sorensen and Creel and Swanson are going to fight the day out if Swanson can stay connected to this group. And that's a great effort right there to get back on that little flat spot. But it can also cause you to sit down and lose power.
Eric Sorensen drilling it right now. Those fancy pink wheels on that Zwift experimental. Folks asking, what does that mean? If you've got pink wheels, it means that you are fancier than most. It actually means you unlock this bike and you can set the color wheels that you want. Some people set them to their jersey color. Other people just pick something that they like. Sorensen was drilling hard there at the front. Now he's kind of backed up. But those guys don't want the front of this thing. They would be smart to actually go a little bit harder. Looks like they may pass the watcher here heading up the hill. That's how we can keep our eyes on everything going on in this space and get you the angles that you want to see. As we look at Swanson, it now is in the hands of Sorensen, or in the legs rather, of Team Draft versus Team Vision here. This is quite a race at this point. But Sorensen, as it looks in the points, is in a great spot in the points. Certainly he chases the absent leader today, which is Scotty Weiss, who has not started, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, because of illness. But Shane Gaffney is that man in third place. These guys may go 1, 2, 3, but there's a possibility, still a possibility, that Jeremy Hunter, if he gets a big move, could come across with more points, potential points today than Shane Gaffney, but he's got to get in the right spot in the finishing order to overcome that in points as we move from this week 7 into week 8 next week. Okay, these guys have now gone 3 times up. They are certainly fatigued. There's got to be some fatigue level going hard for 30 plus minutes, or a race pace at 30 plus minutes. You've got to recover at some point, Frank. I know everyone does. I'm currently in a recovery year, but these guys are in part of a recovery lap. There is Shane Gaffney right now. He has adopted the whole world. Most people don't know this legally because he wants to care for every living being. That is the thing that Shane Gaffney does best. He loves. He loves more than anyone ever. Well, maybe not ever, but anyone alive today. Now, Creel is the guy he's trying to chase down, so we can give him a little bit of love. But Eric Sorensen says, I am tired of your dead weight, Swanson and Creel. So let's see how you respond to this. What? He just decides he's going to, put an injection of pain into his legs, didn't he, Frank?
Yeah, very interesting move. This is where you're trying to catch a rider being a little bit inattentive, right? That's why the coach was telling Katrina earlier, hey, pay attention to what's happening. And you see here, they have indeed gotten away, and Creel is in a big spot of bother here. And
the time is now.
Yeah, the time is now. He has got to get this back on right now. And you see that Eric Sorensen and Swanson are absolutely here to say goodnight, just back off. It's too hard. You don't want to do this. And they're going to keep the power up. And I would be surprised if they'll try and keep at least a 5-second gap here. So each time Creel does a dig like this, they will have to respond with a similar dig. And Creel's playing this pretty smart, in which case he was trying to get them to sort of make the efforts, get overtired, maybe over-rev the engine and not want to over-rev it again. But you see Eric here is like, no, sir, I do not want you to come back. But Creel, to his credit, is going to climb back on. An amazing yeoman's job of getting back on here. And you see Sorensen's just sort of sitting up. He's not going to make the effort anymore.
So, no, he knows that the math is against him. Now, what we didn't describe as it was happening there just a little bit ago was really, really cool. What ended up happening was we had that attack by Sorensen, and when Swanson came around him, he did so in a fashion that he returned the aggressiveness right back to him. And it was wow. And what ended up happening was he dug super deep and then attacked Sorensen. And then Sorensen, almost as if he said, "Oh, that's so cute," he decided to put the hammer down and pass him right back and gap him almost immediately. It was unpleasant. Rhonda Stickle, Austin Brink, Trina Weiss on this climb doing their thing, trying to tap it out. Same as last lap comes in the coaching. No one is surprised here. Rhonda Stickle with the fastest overall lap. Stephanie Austin-Brink with the fastest through the sprint zone. That's what the orange and green jerseys represent respectively. And in this group, we had the polka dot a little bit earlier. We may get it again, but somebody else on course actually in the women's field has gone a little bit faster here. Now, as Stephanie spins up this fabulous hill here, the wily Canadian here, this is she's got another one of her countrywomen in this group with her, and it's this one right there, Rhonda Stickle from Team Velocity Vixen. They're not same teammates. They do, reside the same country, or at least represent the same country in this world cycling. But here in Zone G, Frank, this is one of 8 global zones, A through H. For those of you who have forgotten your alphabet, that's 8, by the way, A through H. And this is G. There's only one left today. In these different zones, as we watch this, which of the zones in your mind have been the most exciting as far as the race, the field,
Zone F, where I was by myself commentating, and I was by far the most exciting, without a doubt.
Shane Gaffney was with you. He would never leave you alone. Oh, he would never leave you alone. Shane Gaffney was there with you.
I was like, he was? Wow. And I thought I was all by myself.
No, he was thinking about you. That's what Shane does.
Okay, but there was really exciting racing, all joking aside about the commentating, because we know who the better commentators are. But all joking aside, some fantastic racing. We had a couple of bunch sprints, very close finishes, great attacks. We had people off the front solo effort with tremendous chases by the draft team. Lots of exciting stuff going on in Zone F today.
And here is the way it looks out on the course. You've got that trio together. Trina Weiss, Rhonda, and of course Stephanie Austin-Brink, all three of them there as they come up and over the top here. We see it from her point of view. That's Trina Weiss. Starts with a C, but that's Katrina. We just call her Trina because, we're tight like that. And she gets up over the top. No polka dots for these women. A little bit of a blink out there. She'll pop back in, no doubt. Sometimes that happens when you've got so many people in this virtual world. Now, this is what it looks like just a little bit further down the hill. Angela Webster, Team Vixen, making sure that she does not let Karen Strange get away from her on this climb. And she's got to close that gap. Schliebe de Luc, which is the German version of Close That Gap.
So Angela Webster been doing very well, up-and-comer through the ranks. We expect great things from Angela in the future. And one of the things that Angela might want to look into working on is relaxing her shoulders. You see in some of the other riders, who put out a little bit more power, they rest their upper body. Angela tends to put a little stress into her shoulders, and that steals a little power from everywhere else. Now, she missed the group today, but in the past weeks, she's made the groups, put the hurt on, all the way to the end of the race. Now, I think she might be a little fatigued because she's been doing a lot of racing recently, and I think she did some big work this weekend. And you think you might recover by Tuesday, but your legs, remember, your mind might be fresh, but your legs are like, nope, not so much.
Not so much indeed. This is the toughest video game ever. There are a lot of folks over on Mixer watching on their Xbox and whatever, doing a nice job. Hey, thanks for jumping in today. You're about to see we're on the last lap for these men and women. Well, the second to last lap, they're going to climb one more time, if my math is correct, and that is going to be where the fireworks happen. If you want to see what real sport and esport look like when they combine together, this is the place to do it. So Jeff Creel in that group already did race his race today, his league today. He is out here getting a good workout and some good race effort, because that's what world-class athletes can do. So he was trying to, but he said he's not going to interfere with the overall outcome of this. And you know who agrees with him? Eric Sorensen, who says no one is going to touch this. Stephanie Ossenbrink really doing a nice job. She's a strong rider. Those mountain bike bars allow her to get more oxygen in her lungs, spreading her arms a little bit wider. That's a good thing. Trina did get separated on that climb. She's got a chance here to climb back in, but Stickle and Ossenbrink may not want that to happen. I stand corrected. We see a little bit of a difference here. Maybe we're seeing just what happened in time here. She's trying to ramp that sucker up, but they just, you can pull them back. There it is. David Lipscomb, coach, says that you can pull them back. Just relax, okay. And she's right. She's smiling big because she knows coach is right there. They're coming across the bridge, which we dubbed a little bit earlier. This is the Beth York Bridge. I don't believe it's been named yet, but it's quite wide, and it has a big mouth for people. No, that's not wide. I'm just describing the features of the bridge, not Beth York, our friend, the commentator. Boy, I've really insulted everyone today, haven't I, Frank?
I'm sorry, 7. Yes. Yes. One or two along the way, sometimes surprisingly so. But I'm sure we'll have a debrief and a chat on that with Kathy, the producer, telling us
yes,
just how astray we went.
Okay, well, I was looking around for the line and then discovered that it was behind me. Just a little while ago. Okay, so folks who are watching this for the first time, hello Mixer, hello Facebook. This is pretty exciting stuff. This is week 7 of the CVR World Cup League. These are real people on real bikes. We're on board right now watching Rhonda Stickle in the lead group of the women's race. She rides for Team Velocity Vixen. That's the purple jersey. And Stephanie Ossenbrink is also in the group with her. She is the next rider in the field. They have 9 seconds now against Trina Weiss, who is a very strong rider. There is Stephanie. These riders, package their video together.
Yeah, one of the things that interesting, you see Katrina here working hard to try and get back, and you see if we go to Stephanie, we'll kind of switch back and forth, not between Stephanie, but 9, dear. One of the things that you're seeing here is sort of the heart of a lion. That is, I have my prey off the back, and I'm going to go hard now. I'm going to get out of the saddle. I am going to work as hard as I possibly can. And the reason Rhonda is doing that is because Katrina can sprint. If you let Katrina come back, if Katrina stays on, then she will become the lion, and she will eat you for breakfast in the sprint. And Rhonda says, no, not today. You're not coming back. I am going to win the sprint.
Now, Angela Webster is ahead of her just slightly in the standings, but Trina continues to put a few more points here and there against Angela Webster to get her off the front. Although she's streaming, we do not see her with the streaming camera available to her, but she's going to get those points when this is all said and done, and that may be enough to jump Angela Webster in the overall standings for these women today. Austin Brink and Stickle doing a nice job, but they don't have nearly as many races in. Now, those will even out by next week. We did see Dixie Newcomb in this field as well. Now, as we look at what's happening on board with the men's race, this is the last time up the climb. And Eric Sorensen, Big E, he's the guy with draft behind his name. He's the guy with the red stripe down his back. He's the guy who's putting out more effort right now than anybody else, trying to make something happen. Dan Swanson trying to catch onto his wheel, may not be able to do it. And then Jeff Creel, who says, I'm just along for the ride, fellas. I'm not trying to interfere with the end of this race. You know what? You better push these guys. But Sorensen imposing his will on this climb, trying to get a little bit of a gap, and he does on Swanson. He's got to close that down. Anything more than 4 or 5 meters, about 15 feet, you lose that draft advantage, and then your trainer, your power trainer, gets much, much harder to control. He tends to do this. He evens it out right here. He'll spin it up in just a second. Watch those watts increase for Sorensen, who is the guy on the front of this trio. If you're watching this for the first time, this is real bike racing on virtual courses with real bikes. Thanks for joining us, Mixer. You know this is cool. We know it's cool too. Okay. Joe
Creel just had a dropout at the worst possible moment.
Possible moment.
He went to 0 on his power, and so what we term a dropout for everybody here is you're getting injected into a virtual world, and when something breaks down in that chain and your power no longer gets injected into the virtual world, your avatar in the virtual world just comes to a complete stop.
Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Like Lazarus comes back from the dead. He was gone, done, buried. They had put incense and all. Okay, we won't get into the histrionics of burial in the early years. But Creel here with the vision kit on his back, representing well for both his team and his country of Australia, chasing down these 2 U.S. riders as well. This is a big U.S. field in this men's field, except for Tomofuji from Japan, who is just a little bit further behind. But he caught back on, Frank. That was impressive. He almost had no choice. It was either do everything you can or be done for the day.
Well, and I think there was a bit of sportsmanship going on there, because what I did notice, and maybe it was just coincidence, but Sorensen and Swanson were only putting out about 3 or 4 watts per kilogram. I think they let him climb back on. Now, they may rue the day that they did that, because I think Creel can sprint, and so this looks to shape up for a big sprint between Big E and Jeffrey Creel. But I know that Big E Sorensen is confident in his sprint as well. I don't know Swanson, so he's the wild card here. But I would certainly Creel's been tail gunning today all day, so I might give him a little bit of the advantage in the sprint at the end.
But this is his second race. He already did this earlier today. I mean, he knows what this climb feels like. I don't know that I could do this race twice in one day. Certainly not at the level that he's been doing it. But yes, Mixer, this is happening. This is the hardest video game ever. Real riders, real bikes, and virtual world, virtual courses. That's why we can have an Australian rider against 2 American riders being chased by a Japanese rider. And it's just as international in the women's field as well. They come under the observatory right here. This is where just last lap, only about 12, 13 minutes ago, Swanson decided he was going to go hard. There's Sorensen. Swanson again with a little bit of a not a counterattack, but a makeup. He's just got to close that distance down and try to make it work out just right for his guy. Okay. So these guys in a nice spot right here to try to create something interesting for this big sprint. Now, Creel, who is listening and watching the broadcast, because you can do that nowadays because of the interwebs, is in a position where he's like, yeah, I haven't done this race before, but we fully expect him to to sprint this sucker out, right? He knows he's not going to influence the overall outcome. He's not going to take any points away from his guy, but he definitely should participate in this sprint. We want to see an exciting sprint, and that's what the internet is waiting for. Okay, again, if you're joining us on Mixer, make sure that, or Facebook, you click that follow so we can notify you when these women and these men are doing their race business. Right here, Shane Gaffney, he's given blood now twice on this ride and donated quite a bit to charity. His drops of sweat are actually used to cure some diseases in the developing country, in the developing world. But that's just his goodness. That's Shane Gaffney for you. In this men's field, Frank, they're going to come down through this section. There aren't really many opportunities to take advantage. But if somebody is going to attack, where are they going to attack?
There is just over this bridge. There is a little bit of a rise as we enter the SEs, and that is where a lot of people attack. That does give you an option to get a gap, and it's close enough to the finish that you can hold that effort for a couple of minutes and make yourself all the way to the end.
You can. That is my favorite spot to attack. We spoke about it earlier today, but they're coming up on an area called Haskell Hill, named after me because I get dropped on this little rise, and you'll go, that's not a hill. And you're right, which is why they call it Haskell Hill, because I get dropped on it just without, it doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. But if I'd been riding with Shane Gaffney, I think I might have done a little bit better. Now, as we look kind of down through this group and see who is where and doing what, it's a good time to point out that our men are really starting to shape up into what the finishing order will likely be for the season. But we're missing Scotty, who is our guy in the lead of this group today. Eric Sorensen going to be able to take a few more points, but not enough with the 6 of the 8 races counting toward their final points total here. The women here in this lead group right here, Rhonda Stickle and Stephanie Austin-Brink. I find it very interesting. Trina Weiss has maintained the same gap through this lap, and as they come up through this final time, now she's going to make every attempt. They're going to catch Vivian Workman likely on this climb. She's just up ahead. She is a lap back from these folks, but she's going to get lapped, and that can happen on a repetitive short course like this that has some painful climbs. If you are not a seasoned strong super climber in just unbelievable fitness, you can get lapped. I've gotten lapped. Unfortunately, unlike cyclocross, where if you get lapped by the lead riders, it's your last lap. Your last lap is their last lap. That doesn't happen here. You're still going to have to finish it. Okay, here's Trina's point of view. She's coming up. She's not very far behind him. It does show 23 seconds, but this is something that she can overcome. She's doing a better average pace than they are up this hill right now, staying nice and steady as the coach will tell her to do. If you look over on the right side, basically next to that number 3, right, CVR World Cup League Spring, you might see the text of her coach pop up there in orange, giving her a little bit of encouragement. And if we stay here for a second, I think that we're probably going to see that. The coach is going to give her some of those details. Now, they're really stretching it out on the top. Good, he said just before we switched off. All right. This is coming very, very close to the grand finale here. Frank, you mentioned there's this big kick after the JW Bridge here, and it is that area where you can solo to the finish if you are explosive enough. Is Sorensen going to try to animate this thing and get off the front?
I don't think so. I would expect either Swanson or Creel to do that, probably more so Swanson. And I got so excited seeing the 300-meter, 200-meter, 100-meter signs because there's a little sprint before this bridge that I thought we might be at the finish. And so I pulled this in here, but it's good because we will get to see if anybody animates this. Now, you see everybody's holding hands, everybody's looking at each other, and they're having a nice conversation, trying to fake everybody out, maybe go to the back. And this is where, in real life, you would hear the clicking of chains. And sure enough, Swanson
there it is.
Going to. Oh, he doesn't. He just he kind of. I think he was trying to make somebody else jump, and maybe follow them. And let's see if he sort of does that again. And indeed, he gets Eric to take the bait.
Yep, big watts. They all come out with big watts. When those numbers light up orange, that tells you those boys are working hard, over 8 watts per kilo, and then they back it up. These are just kind of little trial. You're trying to see who's going to flinch there, maybe little shots across the bow. That is what you do in this kind of bike racing. You do that in outside bike racing as well as inside bike racing. That's what's awesome, is the culture transfers over. So what makes this thing a video game? What makes it more of an esport? The fact that we can compete with different levels of strategy. There's a different meta to this. You notice all 3 of these men are riding the Zwift experimental bike, right? It has its own aerodynamic properties. It has certain drag coefficients and resistance. It has different rolling weights of the wheels, and it is the one that they have selected for this course. It's not a surprise to me that all 3 of these riders have done enough mileage to unlock that feature within the game. It is not any kind of significantly faster than any of the other bikes, but it does have some properties that they all chose for this one. If you were doing a different kind of climb, you might choose the lightest wheels. These are not the lightest wheels. If you were doing something else where it was pretty flat the whole time, you'd get some deep dish wheels that have a greater overall rotational weight, which is a great
big numbers
thing
on the front.
Those are those big numbers that are happening right now. They're trying to get away with these folks. Eric Sorensen trying to get a little bit further off the front. He had on this very course at CVR World Cup LA, the major, he had one of the major efforts where he actually, just before this climb, broke away and did some fabulous stuff. But these guys, being very, very attentive, want to make sure that he is not going to get away. This will be interesting. He definitely has the power to sprint away from these guys if he can get just a little bit of a gap, but he's going to have to do it in a very sneaky fashion. He's going to have to spike his power in those wheels really fast so that the other riders don't see it until it may be a little bit too late. How do you do that on a bike like this, Frank? How do you fire it up so that you just get a huge burst and spike?
Well, different people do it different ways. For me, I drop it into about 75 or 80 RPMs, but I'm immediately tugging with the arms and putting huge power in, trying to get up to about 110, 120 RPMs, maybe with a couple shifts in there. Shifting can be hard under this sort of power. Here we go.
Here we go. Creel is the one who instigates here with Sorensen right on his wheel. But now Sorensen's going to be able to slide into his slipstream through 200 meters to go. There's the banner right there. Sorensen starting to top out, but look who comes back. It's Swanson. He's going to pass Creel right there. And Sorensen, although he is not going to have to really contend with these guys in the points, finds himself in 3rd position. Swanson, Creel, and Sorensen, boom, 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 as we finish right there. The Amgen jersey rejoins him. It's the one he's wearing currently on course. That was pretty dang impressive. And we'll evaluate that big sprint here in just a little bit. But they come back into the world. All of the other inhabitants of this world suddenly become available. You saw it right here, folks. That was pretty dang cool on the mixer. Before you go, make sure you click that follow so we can notify you when we are racing again. Lots of folks love this kind of virtual racing. Is it a video game? Is it an esport? Yes. How do we know? Because I'm a professor of video games in real life. So I'm the one who decides. Now, here's what it looked like from the point of view of Creel. He got a good jump. I think he knew that there was an opportunity here. But the man with the big watts was Swanson today and gets around him. The slow-mo shows that these guys were about the same cadence, except it looks like Swanson a little bit more. They may have had a similar gearing in their bikes, heads down, and because he had that little bit of an aerodynamic advantage, he's able to move past him a little bit more clearly, and there's nothing, because there's not enough space left, that Creel can do. Jeffrey Creel, the Australian rider with his 2nd race today of this distance, unable to close that down, gets into the slipstream, but that is enough. That is all that he can handle. And Sorensen, already backing off just a little bit. He finds himself in that 3rd position overall, and that's how you do it. He had a nice kick, but he needed about another 50 feet, Frank, didn't he?
Yeah, he needed a little more time, although I would say that everybody else had the race timed pretty well. The sprint there, so really probably not much that could be done there. Great sprinting.
Very, very good sprinting indeed. Okay, Ostenbrink and Stickle, they are doing this together. Now, as we're coming close to the finish here, they're about to do the same section that we talked about just a minute ago. At CVR World Cup LA, we had Sorensen attack about in this spot, maybe just a little bit before, to try to get to the hill quicker than anybody else. When nobody came with him, he uncorked his bottle of rage and he ran it all the way to the finish line and actually won that opening stage, surprising everyone but his mother, who knew he could do it. She wrote it in his lunch almost every day. A little note says, "Honey, I know you can do it." But these two folks, that'd be Rhonda Stickle and Stephanie Ostenbrink, just kind of keeping status quo. It looks like Trina Weiss has backed off a little bit. She is not going to get caught by Strange. She's not going to get caught by Webster, 6 minutes behind. She's going to come in third overall in this race today, and that's going to be good. But we still have to crown a winner, and that's going to happen 90 seconds from now. You were just about to switch to Fortnite, weren't you, CVR World Cup? Don't do it yet. Don't do it on your, Facebook is like, what's Fortnite? Okay, we'll tell you that later. We'll tell you that later. But in about a little less than 2 minutes, you're going to see an unbelievable sprint between these two women, Stephanie Ostenbrink and Rhonda Stickle. So, Frank, based on past performance with these two women, how do you think the sprint is going to come out? You've been really good at predicting stuff all day long.
I think here I am going to go with Rhonda Stickle.
Okay. Why is that? We need a little bit more information.
I just think she's sort of had the sort of fearsome, I'm going to take the win today sort of attitude in the body language going forward, and that's just how I see it. Okay.
Wow. That's not a lot of data in there. Just body language, intuition you're throwing out there. They just blew by Dixie Newsom, who will point out is a lap behind them at this point. Unless for some strange reason she caught up and we missed it entirely. It does not look to be the case. Checking out what's going on. She is well behind the other racers in this overall standing right now. Just double checking. And yes, that is the case. Okay.
Well, and I think a little bit of controversy will come to the fore here when you have a lapped rider maybe getting involved in the end game of the race here, the sprint. So I think that will be interesting to see how that plays. Vixen trying to help out Vixen here, but you also are going to have Ostenbrink maybe lodging a little bit of a complaint saying, hey, you were a lap down, just stay out of the race here.
Yep, and you know what? When you've got so many things on the line here, bragging rights not the least of which, but an opportunity perhaps to get to CVR World Cup. That'd be Vancouver. In Vancouver, British Columbia, and that's coming up at the end of January. We're getting close to this, but yes, that'll be interesting. See if there's some controversy, a little bit of interest here. But okay, we're starting to get this. You say Rhonda Stickle, I say Stephanie Ostenbrink is going to unleash the can of rage. But there are two of the Vixen riders on her tail. I think Dixie is there more for moral support. I don't know that she's necessarily going to lead her out. If this were a criterium, it wouldn't be illegal, but it would be frowned upon by the community at large. Now, Newsom comes to the front here. That's going to aid Ostenbrink as well. Stickle in that third tail gunning position. Dixie starts to come to the back, but Ostenbrink decides to deliver first, and she's got a pretty decent gap right there. Rhonda Stickle not able to get that much, but she's got to really push hard as she comes around. Is she going to get to the line? Another big kick right there. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. It's hard to see who it was.
Wow. I think that was Ostenbrink by a hair. Give that another 2 meters, and I believe that would be the other way around. Wow, that was very, very close.
About a minute ago, this instant replay, this is Stephanie Ostenbrink's view, and this is our view of Stephanie Ostenbrink. See how meta that is? We're watching her, she's watching us, all this going on simultaneously. She finds herself just sitting in there. She's got that green jersey on her back because she was the fastest rider around through that sprint section just a little bit ago. That's the achievement that you can unlock each time you ride, and you only hold it for an hour or until somebody else takes it away from you. But it's a badge of pride to have out on the course. This is what she saw from her position. I don't know that we'll hang on to this one. I think Shane Gaffney glanced into her camera as well and caused it to start to malfunction because he's that handsome. That's what will happen to Shane Gaffney. Very, very interesting things. Here's something that a lot of people didn't know, that Shane Gaffney rode and won Race Across America, right? But when he was done, he was so concerned about the environment that he rode back and picked up everybody's trash, all the dropped gel capsules, any bottles that might have hit the tarmac, and was able to clean up America at the same time. The only problem is that he rode against the rotation of the Earth, and it actually sped it up. We lost a day. We lost a day last year because of Shane Gaffney. So, I am not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. We have the longest replay on recorded history here because the helicopter was breaking up. And then after all of that, it's probably not going to hold the end for us. And but I would like to see Ossenbrink sprint here because she was barely holding on at the end. I think Rhonda Stickle had that. One of the things I've been noticing is people are definitely leaving the sprints for too late in CVR World Cup races here as of late. And that's a new trend. Normally, you would start the sprint out at about 600 meters. On this course, you might start at 450 meters, depending on how long your sprint was, maybe 400. Certainly, you've got to be going at 300 by 350 meters. But people are waiting beyond that, and you just don't have time to reach your full speed. And that definitely is what caught Rhonda here, and we're going to sort of go for that, incher replay here shortly. And I think you made the right call as a commentator, being, wow, guys, we're in the way back time machine here watching Ossenbrink. But I am going to talk until we get there. Wow,
I think
that
we
is
will
commitment.
I'm not giving it. Chris will be like, I will have signed off, had dinner, and I might be tucked into bed by the time we get to see this replay. And we will indeed, because actually, you guys are going to get a kick out of this. I think we lost this feed, and it's just repeating over and over again. So now I am going to go climb under a rock for the technical situation that is, because I would be talking here endlessly, but
yes,
the producer can't change the screen because she's on the floor laughing and she can't believe it. Would you please play the real replay, so that he can call it and we can be done with this?
Okay, Rhonda Stickle tries to come around and gets across the line. We may get to watch that just one more time here as we click that replay button one more time. Here it is, and we've got the slow motion, and we can slow this even way down. It looks like Ossenbrink, with one more big kick over 7 watts per kilo, gets enough velocity. There, you'll see the line on the bottom right there. Hard to tell from this angle, but I think we're going to have it definitively. They come close together, but Rhonda Stickle still a little bit behind. Yep, I'm going to believe that Stephanie Ossenbrink with the overall win today in this, and that would be her first. Congratulations, Stephanie Ossenbrink.
We're going to have to check. Do you have live results?
Now, I've got the live results up right now, and it does, in fact, show Ossenbrink in second place. But that is really interesting.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think Zwift servers saw that slightly differently than we did. Maybe that angle was just enough off. Today, and I just would like to apologize to everyone from going from the world's longest replay to the world's shortest replay.
We've covered it all.
But we're having fun. We're having fun here at CVR World Cup, practicing on our technology, and we should improve slightly next week. And so a lot of fun here. We appreciate everyone's patience with the end of the race.
I absolutely love the endless loop. Awesome. Well, okay, so this is it. We're getting out of here. We're done pretty much for the day, and it's awesome. David Charles wins everything today. Actually, a right click on that will give us that men's final standing for today. As the points, there would be the women from earlier today, but that men's A race was the one that we saw here just a second. There's Frank. He's a little man compared to me.
The end. The end has just been utter destruction, right?
Yes.
I mean, luckily, everybody's like, the race is over, we've signed off, and so we don't have to watch the comic relief here at the end. But I'm just getting on just to annoy you, Chris.
Hey,
here
it
at
is
the end.
You have succeeded. This is another group out on course, and we're excited to bring you this. We're coming up pretty quick here. It's a little over a month away. We're going to meet up in, of all cool places, Vancouver, British Columbia for CVR World Cup, the live event where people can win over $10,000 on their bike for just a day and a half, 2 days of awesomeness. Okay, Frank is the only man left on screen right now, but he will nod his head when I say Saris, Power Taps, Cyclops, and of course Garneau. He vaporizes are the people that help make this possible today. Although they may not want to after what we did at the end of this show, but we appreciate all of them, including Peaks Coaching Group, for everything that we've been able to do. This has been Zone G, 8 global zones, 8 weeks. This was week 7. We've got one more. Don't leave without clicking that follow, and we'll introduce you to amazing men, amazing women, and show you the pain that they suffer in the world's hardest video game. This is CVR World Cup. See you soon.